Good afternoon, Paul.
Afternoon.
Or shall I say Councillor Paul Kane?
You can call me Paul, don't worry about
Thank you
that.
very much, Paul. Tell us about your background, please, and why you got into politics.
I've been thinking about this, actually. And I was born in on a council estate. One of the council estates that I actually represent, which was Chickenley. And to be quite honest with you, I was the youngest of 11 children, never even thinking about politics. Although my grandfather was an immigrant coming from Ireland, and the Irish being renowned for speaking and whatever, we never even got into politics, to be quite honest with you. And it was only really when I started work that I even thought about politics as something that was important to me. And mostly I've been a member of a trade union for a long time. Probably from me being 20-year-old, and it was that really got me into politics. I never even thought about actually joining the Labour Party or anything like that, but I just felt so strong about my trade union values and what I expected from my employer, and it was really that got me into thinking about it. And then come the 1980s, 70s, late 70s, 1980s, with the introduction of Margaret Thatcher, I became extremely angry about the way that people was being treated, in particular towards the later 1980s, and the way that the abuse really of employees and whatever, and the way that the miners' strike went, that I was then really I looked at trying to join the Labour Party, and my thoughts were so strong about that. So that was my introduction to Labour Party, although I've always been a trade unionist.
Well, without getting into the capital P of politics, what was it about the trade unions and Thatcher? Can you make it very crystal clear? What was it about those issues there?
I think anybody that lived through that, Milton, it's not. I don't think anything was crystal clear about the. It's a strong word, is hatred of the way that she treated people and the working classes. Okay. So there's nothing clear. It was a constant drip feed of the way that the general public as a whole, you know, the masses being probably 80-90%, and there was something recently that 1% of the wealth, 99% of the wealth of this country is held by 1%, and that in itself speaks volumes. And at that time, you know, this was the build-up of that. And my experience of being unemployed at that particular time, I was unemployed although I was a tradesman, I was still unemployed for 12 months and had 2 children. And that's really what hurt me, and what made me think about that was being put upon other people.
Okay, I understand. I remember I was in Germany at the time all that kind of kicked off, and I was really surprised of the passion, Cllr, the miners, and I just couldn't quite understand it. Maybe I was too young to understand it, and I just couldn't quite understand it. But
I've never been as extreme as that. Even now, I look at both sides of it. I can look at both sides of an argument and try to understand. But there's nothing really that makes you think about what is happening within the country and with individual people than it happening to you yourself, because you become indoctrinated sometimes when you think about really that, you know, you look at party politics, but it's really what's happening to you as a person and you as your family that motivates you into doing something about it.
So when did you become a councillor, and what is your current role as a councillor?
Numerous.
Yeah, that's right. I want to share.
Numerous at the moment. Yeah, but I was I become a councillor 20 years. It's coming up to 20 years now. I was a bit of a reluctant councillor, to be quite honest with you, because I wasn't selected at the time. Someone else was going to actually stand, and they had to stand down. So I had about 6 or 8 weeks to say whether I was going to stand as a councillor. I wouldn't say it was a safe Labour seat, but it was a good seat to be offered. So I've been a councillor for 20 years, and various positions. My present positions are that I'm the chair of the Regeneration Board in Dewsbury. I'm the chair of Everywell and Planning, which is a panel. There's 2 panels of planning committees, and one of them is Everywell, which covers obviously all the north side of Kirklees, and I've been a member of both a member and a chair of that panel for nearly 10 years now.
Is that the chair of the Generation Board?
No, that's the chair of the Everywell and Planning Committee.
Okay.
My background really is that we talked about Thatcher and whatever, and me being unemployed. I could say that a good thing came out of that, but it was myself that motivated myself, and my family that motivated myself. Or should I say motivated me. I went back to college and trained as a clerk of works.
Okay.
To work within the within the construction industry, and from that I think I've done very well for myself, and I'm now a manager, a construction manager with a housing association.
Okay.
So a lot of that meant that I could be the chair of Everywell and Planning, knowing a lot about development and a lot about construction. So that background has been extremely good for me.
Okay. Can you talk to me about the you being the chair of the Dewsbury Town Centre Regeneration?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you?
I've been the chair of the Regeneration Board from the onset of the board itself, which started around about, I think it was around about November 2009, something like that. And it was set up. It was quite strange how it was set up, because it had to be set up through Dewsbury Area Committee, because it couldn't be a standalone committee. So it's everything that the board does actually has to go through the Dewsbury Area Committee. Mm-hmm. So and it was really to find a mechanism of where we could spend the capital money, what Kirklees had promised, actually. The Labour group had promised to ensure that Dewsbury became a priority within Kirklees. And I've got to say this, that Mahbub Khan, actually he stuck to that, and over the last 5 years I've been doing a little bit of investigation, and we have had quite a lot of money come into the town.
What was the underpinning reasons why that had to happen?
Well, it had to happen because people were seeing Dewsbury as actually being forgotten within Kirklees, and many people still do think that, and they have this romantic idea that they can go back to Dewsbury Borough Council, and all the things that happened then when it was a borough council. But the fact is that it wasn't fantastic when it was the borough council, and you'd always better in a bigger pool. You get better services in a bigger pool. But we understood and we accepted that people thought that it were being left behind. And I do think that people don't compare apples with apples when it comes to Huddersfield and Dewsbury. I'm very passionate about my town, you know, and I always have been. And I'll fight tooth and nail, but we have to realise and understand, in particular nowadays, that Huddersfield is a university town, and all the things that come from having a university there, and it is a big town, it's the biggest town within Kirklees, centralised, and this is one of the problems that I didn't like when I first got on the council, that things started to drift from Dewsbury over to Huddersfield, and it's become centralised. And I can, as a councillor and as a politician, you can understand that, because then having them under one umbrella and one roof, I can understand that. But trying to sell that to people of Dewsbury, it was extremely hard.
So what's been achieved with the board then?
I think we've, you know, as far as capital is concerned, we talk about an iconic building like Pioneer Building, and we managed to CPO that, which is the biggest compulsory purchase order that's been done in Kirklees for a long time. And I don't know if you've come in on the train today or whatever and seen it. It's a fantastic building, and that was one of the things that people were saying to us in the inauguration, really, of the regeneration board, was, what are you doing with buildings like this? And we've shown by actually doing that. And now it's on to the second phase, is the Pioneer Building, where we've got £3.4 million of heritage lottery, and we've got to match fund that. Okay. So over the next 2, maybe 3 years, we've got £3.4 million to actually do the internal of that building, make it attractive for people to come into the town. Businesses to come into the town, so that they use that. And also what's romantically called the Northern Quarter, which is the north gate of Dewsbury. So we're going to invest in the shops around that and make it more attractive. There's nobody, I can understand people saying Dewsbury's jaded in some way. I would like to just say that, on record, that where we have had control, where we've got control of things in Dewsbury, we've made a difference in the last 5 years. I honestly believe in that. Where we haven't got control, i.e. where the shop owners, we are not shop owners. Yeah. And we can make it as attractive as we possibly can. But at the end of the day, 80 to 85% of the shops in Dewsbury are owned by what's called absent landlords. And most of them actually don't live in Dewsbury. One of the major things that we did is, one of the first things, should I say, that we did as the board was to get together with, it was upwards of 150 business people. Mm-hmm. We had them into the town hall and asked them what they were doing and what they required from us as a partner. And I was a little bit shocked really when they came back to us and said to us, well, how can you help us? It was really what they wanted from us rather than what they wanted to give to the town, because we're in this magnificent room here, mm-hmm. where most of these people here that have been mayors and definitely councillors and aldermen of Old Dewsbury, they felt fit to put money back into the town. That's right. And it's important that our business people that are making a living in the town actually think that very same way, because they can't just keep taking out, they've got to at some stage put back in. And we talk about the town centre. The town centre, as I say, is a little bit, you can say it's a little bit jaded, and but we are doing things about that. But outside of that ring road, people are doing extremely well. Okay. We've got 3 business parks in Dewsbury, Ravensthorpe, we've got Bretton Street, and you've got Shawcross, and all them are full and doing extremely well. Okay. It's my intention when I become mayor I'm going to make it the year of the business, to be quite honest with you.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to go to them and I'm going to say this to them, you know. And it's not that I'm not going to be just the mayor for Dewsbury. It's going to be the mayor for Kirklees. And I want to say to people, look, you know, you've got to put things back into the town. We'll help you, we'll direct you, we'll route you through, you know, even planning issues and business issues and environmental issues. But I want them to be saying to us, you know, what can I do to help the town centres, and how can we can do that.
Let me just ask a quick question then. Cuts for all of us.
Yes.
How has that impacted on your ward,
Yeah.
and how proud are you to be representing your ward?
Well, I'm extremely proud because, as I said to you before, I was born and brought up there. And
Yeah.
it's quite a strange story, I'll quickly tell you. And I used to deliver papers in where I am now living, and I used to think to myself, I'll never ever attain a property of this sort of nature.
Yeah.
And at that time I thought to myself, well, you know, how can I do this? And it's about having aspirations yourself, and that's what I try to do with the people that I get involved with. We've just talked about businesses, and I think it's extremely important that we, you know, put our onus on business to say, I was an apprentice myself at one time. I think we should really, and Kirklees do extremely well about apprentices. I've been led to believe that it's the biggest apprenticeships in the whole of the country, and that's something really that we should be really supportive of, and you know, take a lot of credit with, because we have done a lot of work with that, but we can do more. And I think within my ward, you know, we have got some low attainment levels at schools, and I'd like to see that. You know, we're working extremely hard with that. We've got some good cabinet people within education, and they're doing extremely well with that. But I think what people need to realise, and this is probably something that not everybody wants to hear, you know, we're living in an age of technology, but we're also, there's some people out there that don't want technology and don't want to get involved in that side. So we've got to provide jobs and apprentices across the board. You know, it's not just, if they've got low attainment, let's try to increase that attainment, that's fine. But if people are quite happy with that sort of level, then we should be providing jobs for people that may not have high attainments. And I think that's important.
More vocational?
More vocational, yeah. And you know, education, I've been, you know, myself, I went back to college, as I mentioned earlier. I wouldn't have done, and I wouldn't have, you know, achieved what I've achieved if I hadn't gone back to education. But when I left school, I didn't feel as though that was important to me. I went and got an apprenticeship, and I worked within construction. And some people do need that, and at a later date in their life, they might want to come back to education. That's what's important to me. Yeah. I want to replicate what I've done for other people, and I think if we can only make it available for people. We can't force people into doing what they don't really want to do. And as far as businesses is concerned, I will be knocking on doors and, you know, around these three areas, three business parks, and saying, look, I want you to take on local labour. You know, that's important to me. You know, we did a job club at Chickenley only 2 years, it'd be about 18 months, 2 years ago, where we had an application for a Tesco's, and we'd got 3 people from there working for Tesco's, because we'd give them the planning application, and we said, well, you know, to attain some sort of local community sort of involvement, supply some jobs for them, and that's what they did, and I think that was important. So things like that are important to me.
In terms of your role, how do you engage with the community?
Yeah, we need to do more. Okay. I've got to say that, Milton. We do need to do a lot more. And I think, you know, we have talked about the morality and all that, and I just think that's going to be a time and a place where I can go and speak, and we really should. And you know, I'm not blaming other councillors. What I want to say is that we really should do more of going in to talk to young people to see what they want. But I do think that it's a golden opportunity for me to be able to do that in my morality, and to be able to do, you know, to be seen to be doing something, because nothing makes them look up any more than a chain around your neck that says you are #1 citizen in the whole of Kirklees. And I think that's important, and that's about role models, and talk about your own history and how you've done in your own career and how you've done it. So I think that's important to me.
When you say that we should do more, are you saying right across the political piece?
I think in general terms, I would say, you know, there was this thing that the last Labour government set up was about citizenship and ensuring that citizenship was taught in schools. And I don't know whether at one time they used to say to us, will you come in and talk? But that's gone to they don't do it now. It's not, I don't know whether it's seen as important to them or not, but I think it's so important that we really should actually be doing more of it. You know, we're going through hard times, and people are going to see hard times, and I think it's important for us to, you know, show that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and to ensure that, you know, wherever the local authority can help, we will help.
Okay. How do you measure customer satisfaction within your ward?
At the end of the day, is whether you voted in or not.
Okay.
That's the value to me. That whether you voted in or not. For 20 years, I've never lost an election, and I'm quite proud of that. But I don't take it for granted. And I ensure that, or attempt to ensure, that people are aware of what I'm doing. You know, I'm very vocal myself, and I do get in the papers quite a lot, and I do go to plenty of meetings, making sure that people know what I'm doing, and the number of cases that I do on a daily basis, you know, is fairly high, so people know what I'm doing. But it's important to me, you know, I'm one of these people. People had a go at me in the papers last week, you know, over something that I'd said, and I accept that, you know. But I say to them people, well, yeah, it is important that you criticise, but let's all be critical friends rather than actually try to get something done about it, rather than just being critical for the sake of being critical.
Okay. No, I really admire, I really appreciate the answer. I really do. There's a myth, and I want you to try and help bust this myth, that the Asian community don't get on with the indigenous white community. How does that sit with your community and let's say the Savile Town community?
Are we talking about in Dewsbury or in general?
I would say in Dewsbury. I would say in Dewsbury in general. I wouldn't. To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't say it's a myth. Okay.
I think segregation does exist, but I'm more positive than that, and I feel as though integration, and I talk to a hell of a lot of people, and integration in itself will come in time. I think it's a natural instinct. You know, I've worked abroad, and I used to go in places where there were only English people, and you know, I worked abroad for a long time, and it was important to me that, you know, you're still within that community. What I would like to see is more people getting involved in, you know, you talked to me earlier about the hospital issue and whatever. What I think is, as far as the hospital is concerned, we've got a massive Asian population that uses the hospital quite a lot, and I haven't seen them come out. I think people that's been, like myself, really against the proposals for the hospital. I've been quite surprised that the Asians haven't come out in the sort of numbers that they are, because they're high users of the hospital. So I'm a little bit at a loss as to what motivates the Asian community when there's an issue within Dewsbury, and that, you know, there is that segregation. But as I say, I think I'm a bit more positive in that, you know, the Asian communities that I get involved with, they know what they want to, how we work and how we can be utilised, if you like, and it's important that they are part of our communities. You know, we all are, at the end of the day, all one community.
You've been nominated for the Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
June 2014.
Yes.
To 2015. And then you are going to be Mayor from 2015 to 2016. So, and you're going to be the Deputy Mayor with Ken Smith. How do you think that one's going to work? Because you both are very forthright councillors.
Yes.
It's a bit like Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane managing the Northern Ireland team. Yeah. Which one is the calm one and which one's the firebrand?
I'd love to say I was the calm one, but
Ken also says the calm one, don't he?
No. It's a partnership. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's up to us whether we get on or not. And I have no problems. Seriously, no problems. I've probably more of a problem with his consort than what I will have with Ken. Christine being a Conservative, but no, we're all friends together. We've all been friends together, and I appreciate Ken. He's a very articulate fellow, and he's quite a clever fella. And I understand, you know, it's up to us to make that work. Yeah. There is going to be times when probably we'll, I won't say fall out, but we'll probably see different things in different ways, but that's up to us. Yeah. We're all grown-ups, aren't we?
How do you feel about being the Deputy Mayor and then Mayor? How does that feel for you? You've come a long, long way, born in Chickenley, and now you're going to be #1 citizen.
Well, I said at the time, they asked me to do a press release, and I said that was important to me, that I wanted to put something in there. And it goes back to what I said earlier, really, in that I think through hard work, most people can achieve anything. And as that lad that used to deliver them papers, I think to myself, well, you know, we have come a long way. And it's been important to me that, you know, I'm being recognised, and it's a recognition not just for me personally, it's for my family, and it's for Dewsbury.
I feel your sense of pride about that as well. I feel very proud about that.
Yes.
Touch on that at all.
Well, I'm proud. I'm proud for it. You know, I started my apprenticeship at Kirklees at Dewsbury Borough Council, and then it became Kirklees Council, and I've dealt with it, and it was quite strange. I was at a meeting last night, and there was one of the conveners from the building services, and I was saying to him, I said, he was asking me how I were and whatever, and I said, it's quite strange that a plumber that used to work for Dewsbury Borough Council will next year be the Deputy Mayor and the year after the Mayor. Yeah. And I said, it's strange how things happen, and how you know, your life path changes, and because I probably wasn't the best of apprentices at that time. You know, we all go through that, and this is what I was saying earlier about you know, people go through different things at different times in their life, but we can all be put back onto the straight and narrow, and that's important to me. You know, that people realise that. And he was saying, well, this is there was a chief exec at the time, you know, and I'd been in front of him over various things, and You see, what would he be saying now? You know, I understand that. I think
it's the nature of politics.
It is, though. Yes, yeah. And it's important to me that, you know, that anybody that if I see because he asked me if I was going to do some sort of invitations down to building service, and I said, of course I will. Yeah. And I want them to see that what we've done and what I've managed to achieve.
Excellent. What's your vision for your ward at the moment then?
Well, I'd like to see us with full employment, because at this moment in time, as ward does cover the town centre too, so I'd like to see some improvements in and we are working with shop owners and whatever, and I'd like to see some improvement in that. But it's not so much a vision; it's something that I would like to see rather than a vision. Okay. And I know that sounds it's not the same thing really. What I would like to see is that you know, we have a good people in our area are employed and they have a good life and good health, because we're at a stage as far as the hospital is concerned where we got diminishing services, and it's up to us as ward councillors to fight to ensure that we retain as much services as we can in Dewsbury Hospital. And attainment levels, you know, I talked earlier about our attainment levels as far as Elseaton Community School is concerned, and you know, I want to see them's important, but I also want people to enjoy their lives, and that's important to me too.
Okay, and what would you like to see for Dewsbury as a whole then? Yeah,
well, a bit more prosperity, and you know, I'm still going to be fighting for investment and capital investment into the town, in the town to ensure that we maintain, and it's still a priority within Kirklees. I think there's certain elements where they're wanting to split Kirklees up into 4 definitive areas, and I don't think. I think that's in itself. It has some opportunities, but it also has some problems. And I think for us in Dewsbury, as I said, people's always hark back to the golden days of Dewsbury Borough Council. And I think what we really need to do is to get our communities motivated. And that's across the board. It's, you know, we have Asian communities and we have immigrant communities from all over the Europe now, and it's to get them all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet, if you like, and ensuring that Dewsbury prospers, and that we have a town fit for 21st century, and we've got jobs for the people of the town.
Paul, I want to say thank you so much for giving us your time. Absolute inspiration. I know what it's like to come from a challenged community and keep going and then suddenly you're a pretty profile person, and there's a lot of expectations carried on your shoulders in a sense. So I feel I've been inspired, and I wish you all the very, very best next year with Ken, certainly, and also the year after as mayor, and I'll be following your career very closely. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you. It's a nice one.
Thank you.